How's it going, friends? The Netherlands held a general election today. This was for the Chamber of Deputies. They have a bicameral system. There's a Senate and a chamber, but the chamber also picks the executive. So imagine if in America there was no presidential election and Congress picked the president and the president's cabinet. That's essentially how it works in the Netherlands. Now, for the past 10 years, the People's Party for Freedom and Democracy, VVD, has been the main party under Mark Rutte, and he's been the prime minister. Well, this election was not supposed to happen until 2025. This was an early snap election. The coalition collapsed. They couldn't go on anymore. A big reason it collapsed was because of fighting over immigration policy. Mark Rutte said, "I'm done with it. Someone else take over." Well, the first shock was who took over the party. So this went in the exact opposite direction that I thought. So VVD is like a free market centrist party. And to replace Mark Rutte, they picked a foreign-born Turkish woman whose family came to the Netherlands as illegal aliens. Her mother runs an NGO that advocates open borders and unlimited mass non-European immigration into the Netherlands. I mean, very bad news. That went completely in a different direction than I thought it would. Well, another thing about Dutch politics that I've talked about before, you have the sudden rise of these brand new parties. So, the elections are proportional representation with no threshold. The Chamber of Deputies has 150 seats. Any party that can get 2/3 of 1% of the vote will get at least one seat. And so there's constantly new parties, constant splinter groups, and we keep seeing in election after election like the sudden rise of some new party. The last video I made about the Netherlands was about the Senate election, and we saw the crazy rise in first place of the Farmers Citizen Party, BBB, which was like an anti-EU, anti-green agenda farmers party. Of course, there's a bunch of controversies. I'm not going to get into it right now. Anyway, during the past few months, we saw the rise of this new anti-establishment conservative party called New Social Contract. The leader is Peter Otmisch. He got this bizarre name, like OTZM. When I first saw his name, I thought it was another Turk. Apparently, it's a real Dutch name. It just looks really weird. But this guy was going after voters for Geert Wilders' Party of Freedom, the BBB, Forum for Democracy, but at the same time, he was groveling to the media and saying he'll never coalition with Geert Wilders or Thierry Baudet because they're anti-democratic. He was the respectable face of conservative, basically a textbook total conservative that'll stab you in the back. I mean, the party just reeks of controlled opposition. But, I mean, if you look at polls from just 1 month ago, you had the top three parties, VVD, now under the leadership of a Turkish illegal alien, this new complete cucked fake center-right party, and an alliance of two different far-left parties, Green Links and the Labour Party formed an alliance. That's what you had. As it looked bad. Well, then along came all these violent Muslim protests all over Europe. I started this YouTube channel in 2018. I've talked about Geert Wilders and Party for Freedom the entire time. Since 2019, I've also talked about Thierry Baudet, or however you say his last name. I don't know. I know I'm saying it wrong. But I've talked about him. Geert Wilders is someone I've followed for a very long time. The party was started in 2006. It's basically a single issue protest party. It's stop the Islamization of Europe. And everything else is secondary. And so, like, a big criticism of the party is that it's basically populist on economics to the extent where they'll say, well, socialism is okay as long as we stop immigration. Everything else is secondary because if we don't stop the Netherlands from becoming a Muslim country, then nothing else matters. Now, Geert Wilders has been attacked and demonized and vilified this entire time, but he's always been there every single Dutch election of any kind. He's always been there, and the party's always, won seats. Then you had Forum for Democracy under Thierry Baudet, and it was launched around 2017. They first competed in the 2019 Senate election. Well, they won a shock first place in the 2019 Senate election with like 16%. And this was a more comprehensive conservative party with like a full spectrum of issues, along with what an American would think of as a more traditional center-right economic policy. Unfortunately, that started coming apart because of splinter groups. And by 2021, there was a big splinter group called Juiste Antwoord 2021, which is like correct answer for 2021, that actually outperformed Forum Democracy in that election. Now it's collapsed. There's another splinter group that formed that's collapsed. Basically, the party's been killed by splinter groups. And then Monday, Thierry Baudet was at a bar for a campaign event, and a radical leftist militant, apparently a young teenager, attacked him with a beer bottle. It's on video. I've got it on my Twitter feed. He yelled all kinds of, Antifa-like gibberish about fighting fascism and fighting Putin and whatnot. But he was attacked and hospitalized and had to cancel some campaign events on the eve of the election. Now, a week before the election, there was a poll that showed Geert Wilders and his Party for Freedom were suddenly surging and now tied for first place with VVD. Well, they did much better than that. The final results are not in yet. It's about 97% counted, and Geert Wilders and Party for Freedom got a higher percentage than any party has gotten since 2012. And they're predicted to get 37 seats out of the 150 right now. However, there's a lot of clickbait on both the left and the right. Both sides are printing articles claiming that the far right has swept into power, just totally dominated, swept into power. Well, it's not like that at all. Unfortunately, that's all clickbait nonsense. So what did happen is dramatically better than what polls were showing just 1 month ago. But it's still not some kind of clean sweep for conservatives, certainly not the far right. The overall results, there's still some bad things about it. Hopefully this will be readable. There's so many parties. I had to keep starting over and over, writing smaller and smaller and smaller. But at the top, 23.4% with 37 seats, Geert Wilders, Party of Freedom. And like I said, this is the most any party has received in any Dutch election since 2012. Now, this is Forum for Democracy, Thierry Baudet. This is the Calvinist Party, which always wins a few seats. And from what people tell me, is very conservative. Now, this is the answer for 2021. This was the original big Forum for Democracy splinter group. In 2021, they actually outperformed Forum for Democracy in election. Now they did terrible. And there was another Forum for Democracy splinter group that only got 0.5%. All they needed was 0.67 to get one seat, and they blew it. Had they not have existed, Forum for Democracy probably would have got 4 seats, or this party would have got 2 seats. BBB, the Farmer Citizens Party, this is the party that exploded onto the scene in the last Senate election. Well, the glitter is already dying down or whatever. They got 4.7%. Now, these are basically conservatives. Now, there's a big debate. Is this an anti-establishment grassroots party, or is it useful idiots who are being used by the pesticide and herbicide industry? I'm not going to get into that. You be the judge. You can decide whatever you want. Now, this block here, these are the cucks. These are the fake conservatives. So this is the big new party that a month ago was like possibly supposed to get first place maybe. They only got 12.8%, new social contract. And then you got the Christian Democrats with 3.3, Christian Union with 2.1. Christian Union might be the worst of these three. From what people in the Netherlands have told me is they're basically leftists who don't agree with abortion with the other radical leftists. So they're like leftists, but they don't want late-term abortion. So then you got VVD, the People's Party for Freedom and Democracy, 15%. They were the biggest party in the Netherlands for the past 10 years. Volt is basically like a hyper-establishment, hyper-pro-EU, center-left party. D66 is kind of like the main center-left party. They've been part of past ruling coalitions. Then you got the hardcore left. So you got Green Links and the Labour Party. They formed an alliance and got 15.6%. So they were the second place. VVD, which at one time people thought was competing with NSC for first place, well, they got third and fourth. Then you got the Socialist Party, the Turkish Party, and the Animal Rights Party, gotten, small blocks of seats. So Geert Wilders, his party is first place by a huge margin. And he will get first crack at forming a ruling coalition. But it's still going to be hard. So he's basically, he can get these parties and probably BBB, so that's probably all right. But that's only 44 plus 7. So he's going to have to get basically all these parties down to Christian Democrats, all these guys. And as I said, these are some real cucks. So unfortunately, it's not a done deal that Geert Wilders is going to be prime minister. This is still going to be a big battle. And we could end up seeing a continuation of the status quo with VVD and the cuck fake conservatives and the center left. Of course, that's once again is going to continue to be unstable. Maybe there will be another early snap election. No matter what happens, I'm very happy that Geert Wilders did so well. This, at the very least, this is a kick to the balls to the media. Because the media has been demonizing and vilifying this guy since 2006. I've been following him the entire time. And so this is total vindication for Geert Wilders. Now, I would have liked to have seen Cherry Bidet also do better. Of course, in past videos, I've talked about how as freedom for democracy goes up, the Party for Freedom goes down and vice versa because they're fishing in the same pond. So that's just how it goes. But at any rate, the results were dramatically better than what we saw in polls just 1 month ago. All right, thanks for watching this video. Click the like button, post a comment below, tell me what you think about all this, and please consider supporting me on Subscribestar or Patreon or Cash App, and please subscribe to my backup channels on Twitter, BitChute, Odyssey, and click the subscribe button. New video every few days.